Welcome to another edition of Chai with Molly, a show where we celebrate diversity the Canadian way. We begin this morning with a look at what the Global Organization of People of Indian Origin, also known as GOPIO, has been doing to be a voice of the 20 million Indian diaspora residing all over the world. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. Chai with Molly begins right here, right now. So join me in welcoming Banerjei, who is the leader of GOPIO Canada, to give us more information on Global Organization of People of Indian Origin. Thank you for being here, Jay.
It's good to be here, Molly.
All right, for the benefit of those who don't know about this organization, why don't you give us a little bit of an intro?
Great. It's called GOPIO, the Global Organization of People of Indian Origin.
All right. And how long has this organization been in existence?
28 years.
Okay, a long time.
A very long time.
All right. And would you be able to tell our viewers what are some of the things that this premier organization has been able to do for the people of Indian origin?
Absolutely. First of all, GOPIO represents the Indian diaspora. For some people, that may be a new term. Most of you would probably know that, which is somewhere around between 20 to 30 million people of Indian origin around the world. So we represent their interests.
Okay.
And I want to add something else.
Go ahead.
We are the only official organization that is recognized by the government of India.
All right. What does it mean?
What that means is that when we are the go-to organization for any issues that India is dealing with globally, or if anybody in the Indian diaspora has issues, concerns, either with India itself, some controls or rules, or if there's any issue in any country in the world, we are also the world's largest lobbying organization. And we began as human rights, and we fight to protect the rights of people, in this case, the Indian diaspora.
Okay, so can you name some of the achievements of this premier organization?
Well, there are several areas how we address that. Back in the early days, it came out through human rights. It's not what it is today. Today, there is, in most parts of the world, especially in North America, there's a lot of freedom. There's very few issues. However, about 25 years ago, even in New York City, for example, there was an issue where, Indian ladies who were wearing dots, that there's a dot that they wear as part of the culture for some people. Then some of the people who were, let's just say, not happy or couldn't understand who the Indian people are, it was called dot busters, where they were going and just hitting people, and there was a lot of bodily harm going on. It was discrimination. So we, through the influence that we have with politicians, with leaders, we were able to stop that. The same thing happened in another part of the world where I'm trying to think of the name. It'll come to my mind shortly. I think it was in Mauritius, Fiji, where there was a government, and when that government changed and there were not as many Indian people, there was a lot of discrimination on them. So we were able to address those. Let's move away from that. Let's go to some practical things. An achievement was that, actually, our biggest achievement was we went to the government and we said there should be an annual event. So Government of India, now every 2 years, it was initially an annual event. They have a 3-day event culturally and business and other, gathering of the Indian diaspora from all over the world in different cities in India every 2 years. It's called
known as PBD.
PBD, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas.
Yes.
So that is an achievement. Then the other is there's something called the OCI card. Because once you left India and you were, I'm a proud Canadian, but each time I go to India, I would have to get a visa. And that was very cumbersome, and I had, couldn't own property, and all of those things. There were a lot of restrictions. So now, the gentleman that founded this, Dr. Thomas Abraham, out of New York, back in 28 years back, he actually coined the term OCI, Overseas Citizen of India, or even PIO, Person of Indian Origin. So to name a few things.
All right. So these are very practical and very important things that this organization has been able to achieve on behalf of the Indian diaspora.
Absolutely.
Because even though, let's say, for example, Canada, we have a very strong Indo-Canadian population, and people are proud Canadians, and they live here, and many of them are totally integrated.
Absolutely.
But they still have families.
Yes.
They still have ancestral properties.
Yes.
And so until these things came along,
Yep.
People had a very hard time.
They had a very hard time.
Yes, and because they had no rights.
Yes.
Because being, foreign citizens.
And that's the point on rights. And thank you because that triggered the rights now that even if I'm a Canadian citizen, but because I'm a person of Indian origin, I have all the rights to own property and do business, everything except for running for elected office.
Of course, yeah. And so we just got back from a really good convention.
Oh,
you
lovely.
and I were there.
Absolutely. Berlin and Paris.
Berlin and Paris.
And Paris.
Yes. Why don't you talk a little bit about what you saw and witnessed?
Yes. What was really awesome was, and we were just there last week, from all over the world, the people who are in leadership representing the Indian diaspora in their countries, Australia, Africa, Fiji, Suriname, United States, Canada, ourselves, and South Africa, and many more, they all gathered for this convention in Berlin. And what was really key was, and we stayed in this wonderful place, which was a guest house in the middle of their police headquarters, as a matter of fact, the emergency task force. And the leader of the GOPIO, our GOPIO organization in Germany, in Berlin, Mr. Sodhi, was very instrumental in organizing for us, through the convention time, an official visit to the German parliament.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yes.
I mean, the structure itself is very beautiful, but then they also gave us a history of the German parliament, and also it just so happened that this conference was happening around the same time as Germany was celebrating the reunification of Germany.
I think 30 years, right?
30 years of reunification of Germany, and when the Berlin Wall came down. So it was a very historic time to be there at this time, very emotional too, and because we all remember when this wall came down 30 years ago. We were a lot younger then.
There were a lot of celebrations.
A lot of celebrations.
And so you see, it reflects how far we have come. For those whether you're from India or not, whether you come from Guyana, Trinidad, or even have no connection, this will be of interest to you. Because this is how cultures have evolved. We are a community worldwide. And it's interesting. I mean, we've learned from other cultures to do this. We all gathered, and we were privileged. By the way, it's called the Bundestag. That's the name of the German parliament. We were really privileged to be there. Chancellor Angela Merkel. We
the parliament was in session.
Parliament was in session. We actually, on our way over, we saw this giant building called the Reichstag, and God willing, we'll be able to show some of the pictures for you as well as we go along, either on this show or the next. And then you come to the parliament. And as we entered, and by the way, I should mention for those Canadians, the German parliament and everybody there was really happy to hear there are Canadians here. Yeah. And we were the first to be invited in.
Absolutely. Just because we happen to be Canadians.
They said, where are the Canadians?
Yes.
So yay, Canada.
Yeah, Canada, yes. Now let's talk a little bit about our visit to Paris as well.
Yes.
Because from Berlin, all of us flew to Paris.
Yes.
And we had this incredibly special cultural event. Diwali was being celebrated there.
Goodness.
And what was most amazing for us was how the local French artists were performing alongside the Indian diaspora.
Yes.
In this, absolutely spectacular.
Spectacular.
Right. And so Mr. Mehan Punaswamy and his family and his team.
His dream team.
His dream team, did an exceptionally powerful
job.
work. And what was really amazing is that they've been able to connect with all these foreign students who are there in Paris, as well as I guess we have them here in Canada as well. And so they're providing this wonderful support for them, being there for them as a family and as a community, and then also channeling their energies and their talents into building bridges in the community. And I think that is what stood out for me.
Very much.
So now you represent GOPIO Canada.
I do.
There are people here in Canada who would be interested in being a part of this wonderful organization. What would you like to tell them?
Call me.
Why should they become a part of GOPIO Canada?
Well, everybody, no matter where you come from, and in Canada we've all come from somewhere, even if it was, unless of course we respect the natives over here. Outside of that or beyond that, we talk about you could have come from England 100 years ago. You are then the British diaspora. But for those from India, we want to connect culturally to others from the same culture and community. Would like to connect even for issues and concerns that you may have back in India. Or even relatives around the world that you might need help. Whatever it might be, it's good to connect with each other. So to be a part of that, you can't be doing this alone. We can't be islands by ourselves. We come together, it's the power of the group.
All right.
That's what the founders have. And together, we have a lot of influence in Canada with our people, so that it is about influence for a good cause, influence for a good reason, so we can make a difference on this globe as a people.
All right.
Indo-Canadian, proud Canadians of Indian origin.
All right. So whether you are an Indo-Canadian, or you're from Guyana, or you're from Trinidad, or from any other place where you are a person of Indian origin, or your families were a person of Indian origin, all of you are welcome to be a part of this organization.
I just want to acknowledge the people from Indian origin from South Africa.
Yeah.
Because they are just celebrated Landing Day. So let me explain to you what that concept is that from the ports of India, from Kolkata, where I'm from, which is originally called Calcutta, the ships or the boats would bring in, at that time, people for indentured labor to go into these countries, and they'd be coming into Kolkata. Kolkata is a very large port. By the way, I'm from Kolkata. So from there, the ships would leave all over the world, and the day that they landed, the first ship or the first set of ships is where today the same people who came as laborers today are in leadership position, business, and even have gone to the height of prime minister of that land. So Landing Day is celebrated in South Africa. We have some great people, great friends in South Africa. I know you may watch this, who have even been there working side by side with the government and even Mr. Mandela, and the late Nelson Mandela as well. So our greetings to those who are celebrating Landing Day, which is an annual celebration of your forefathers, which we respect a lot through Kolkata Memorial at GOPIO. Oaths to you and thumbs up to you.
All right. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Now, don't go anywhere. We have a wonderful song for you that you're going to enjoy. Stay with us.
बिन लागे दुख न जिया दरस बिन लागे दुख न जिया दरस बिन लागे दुख न जिया मन पपिहा बोलन लागे पिया पिया मन पपिया बोलन लागे पिया पिया मन पपिया बोलन लागे पिया पिया दरस बिन लागे दुख न जिया दरस बिन लागे दुख न जिया लागे जिया लागे जिया लागे जिया लागे दरस बिन लागे दुख न जिया जिया लागे दरस बिना दुख न दरस बिना दुख न लागे दरस बिना दरस बिना जब से पिया परदेस से धारे जब से पिया पिया परदेस से धारे जब से पिया परदेस से धारे कल न पड़त मैं का कल न पड़त मैं का दिन रात रस बिना दुख न जिया नि रे मबा मबा नि रे मबा मबा रे मबा रे दरस नि रे मबा मबा रे मबा रे मबा मबा रे मबा नि रे मबा नि रे नि मबा नि मबा रे रे दरस बिना नि रे मबा रे मबा मबा नि मबा नि रे मबा रे मबा रे मबा रे मबा रे दरस बिना दुख न जिया बिन लागे दुख न जिया दरस बिन लागे रे मबा रे मबा मबा रे मबा रे मबा रे मबा नि रे नि रे बा नि बा नि मबा मबा रे मबा नि रे मबा नि मबा रे मबा रे दरस बिन लागे दुख न जिया दरस बिन लागे दरस बिन लागे दरस बिन लागे दुख न जिया
If your goal is to sell your home faster, renovations can help move the needle. Buyers are attracted to a space that feels new and modern, so even small upgrades can go a long way, especially if it's been decades since the last home update. So what are some of the things that you can focus on in terms of renovations? We have our real estate expert in the studio with us to give us more detail. Join me in welcoming him to the show. Thank you so much for being here, Jay.
It's good to be here, Molly.
All right, so what are some of the things that people can do?
Well, number one, I say fresh paint.
Paint goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And fresh paint both inside and outside the home.
Mhm.
It can really brighten up the house. What it'll do is also make it feel new all over again.
This I'm sure is one of the least expensive renovations
That's right.
that give you the highest return.
That's correct. And the tip is avoid dark paint
Neutral colors.
because it'll also make the home look larger.
But don't paint it yourself.
Nope. Get a professional to do it
Right.
in a neutral color.
All right.
Yes.
And a fresh paint will also get rid of any odors in the house as well.
That's right. That's right.
It can make it smell fresh too.
Yeah.
Okay, what are some other things
Sure.
that people can do?
Number two is get a kitchen facelift.
Kitchen is, I know, people always want to see upgraded kitchens.
That's correct. Upgrading the appliances, countertops, cabinets, and the floors can make your home feel new.
Because that's the first thing
Yes.
people go to see,
That's correct.
right? The kitchen and the washroom.
That's right.
Yeah, they both have to be renovated. And so if you're on a budget
Yes.
and you have to prioritize,
Mhm.
so these would be some of the things that you can.
Right. And
Focus
within
on
that budgeting, here's another tip.
Mhm.
If you absolutely had to do one thing in the kitchen, it's upgrading the appliances.
What about the countertops?
Well, that would be nice, but again, everything is budgetary. So if you had to do, I'm just saying, if you had to do something, you start from there, and then, yeah, I mean, if you had to go number two, I'd say countertops.
All right. What about cupboards?
Cupboards would be next. See, because what do you want to make sure? Because you may spend maybe $2,000 on those cabinets, from the older brown ones to the really nice white modern decor. And that will make them make an offer on your home. Wouldn't it be nice to have a bidding war on your house?
Because that is the intention.
And that a nice white kitchen will do it.
All right.
That's the secret.
That is the secret. Okay. What are some other things that people should focus on in terms of renovations?
Sure. Open concept. And this, Molly, is a new trend. In new homes, by the way. Many older homes have too many walls. So here's the tip. Find where an open concept floor plan makes sense.
Yeah, but you see, here's my concern. When we want to recommend that people have open concept, we don't want them ripping walls because they don't know how to do. They could be, those supporting columns. And next thing you know, so
that's where they would have to have the professional double check it. But merging the family room with the dining room is what can really enlarge the feel of the home.
okay, so
And the
whatever
buyers
you
come
do,
to-
make sure you don't do it
Yes.
yourself. Don't get your neighbors to come to help you.
Correct, of course.
And don't
of
get your
course.
family and anybody who's never done this,
That's right. The market is very robust. So call me if you have any questions. We're here to get your home sold and make sure you get the highest value. 5% down payment, 5% deposit. That's all you need. Yes, you heard that right. I am Jay Banerjei. I am your real estate portfolio manager. Pre-construction condos are here. They need 20%. On a $500,000 condo, that is $100,000. Not everybody has it. Do you? Even if you did, can you put it down? And if you can't, I have the perfect solution for you. We're having a special, and in this special, guess what? Santa is coming, and Santa is going to bring condos in 5 different projects: Vaughan, Mississauga, downtown Toronto, Leslieville, and other places. If you just call me or you click on the information, if you're watching this as a email, if you're watching this on television, call the number before, because a one-day sale really soon. If you call me, you can reserve a pre-construction condo with 5% deposit, nothing until closing. If you've been watching the news, don't take my word for it, because you don't know me personally. So, however, you do know the Toronto Star, you do know the Globe and Mail, you do know all these financial posts, and you do know one thing: the pre-construction condo market is going through the roof, is increasing at the rate of 10% per year. Why? Homes. A home is $1 million plus. The mortgage rules changed. Do you qualify for a house? Do you qualify for a second house to invest in? No. Not everybody does, because they changed the rules. So therefore, I have a solution for you. Pre-construction condo, you can buy it with 5% deposit, you can sell it before the occupancy and the closing. Guess what? I will sell it for you. I have done this. My name is Banerjei. I am almost 30 years in real estate in Toronto. For the last 10 years, I have done nothing but building special relationships with the key and the leading builders in the city of Toronto. Let me pass that benefit on to you. Do you want to retire wealthy? Do you want to build for the future? Your child's education? Call me now, 647-273-1119. Let me help you to change your financial future.